This recording is for IB Math Studies on using the graphing calculator to show your work for a correlation coefficient calculation. So on a test or quiz, I might ask you to calculate a correlation coefficient to show your work. In doing so, I'd probably ask you to fill out a table that looks similar to this. So I'm going to begin by assigning these arm spans to be my xi's and these arm lengths to be my yi's. And so my first step would just be to copy those values into the table. Now that I've copied those values into my table, I'm going to enter those values into my graphing calculator. So I'm going to start by pressing Stat from the Edit tab. I'm going to select the Edit command, and I'm going to type in these values. What I'll do next is I'm going to make a column in my Stat menu to represent this, and then the third one to be this. Before I do that, though, I need to have the means and standard deviations for those x and y values. So to do that, I'm going to exit out of here. I'm going to go back to the Stat menu, and this time I'm going to move over to the Calculate tab and select the two variable statistic command. I'll have my x's in L1 and have my y's in L2, so there's nothing to do there. Frequency list I'll always leave blank, and then hit Calculate. So you can see that we've entered in, or the calculator has calculated my x mean, my x standard deviation, my y mean, my y standard deviation. These are all stored now in my calculator. So if I exit from there, and I go back to the Stat menu, and from the Edit tab, select the Edit command, I can type in these formulas into L3, L4, and L5. So I'll move up to the heading, L3, press Enter, and I'll type in parenthesis, L1 minus bars, statistics, x bar, divided by bars, statistics, sx, and then press Enter to populate that list. Similarly, I'll do the same thing here. So I'm going to do parenthesis, L2 minus bars, statistics, y bar divided by bars, statistic, sy. Press Enter, and I populate that list. And lastly, my last column is going to just be the product of L3 and L4. So I'll type in L3 times L4 and populate that list. Now I'll go and copy those values into my table to 3 significant figures. Okay, so now you see that all my data has been entered in here. If you recall, the formula for R is over n minus 1 times the sum of xi minus x bar over sx times yi minus y bar over sy. Well, this part here is really just the sum of that column. And I notice that I have 11 entries, so I can type this out, or write this out, what I'm doing here, write it quick, 1 minus 1666 over 2.14. This is just me copying down these values. So I've copied my numbers into my formula. So you can see that the 166, that was the mean of the x bar. We got that when we did the two variable statistics. The 10.6 is the sx. Again, we got that when we did the two variable statistics. The 25.7 is the y mean. We got that from the standard, or from the two variable stats. And the 215 is the sy. We got that from the two variable statistics. So I did this for the first data point in my table. And then I did it again for the last variable, the last data point in my table. So that's where the 160 comes from, and the 26, likewise the 174 and the 27. And then there were 11 total data points in my table. So what I need now is to figure out what that sum is. So to do that, I'm going to go back to my calculator. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the one variable statistic on that final column. In this case, that's L5. So go ahead and press enter. And we get that the sum of the x's is 5.86. So we get that our value is 0.586. So that's showing your work. If we had just said use GDC to get R, well, that can be really quick. So I've typed all my data into my calculator. I'm press stat calc linreg. With my x's were now 1 and my y's were now 2, and I don't need to worry about any of that other stuff right now. Then I just hit enter, and there's my R value of 0.586, same one as we saw before. Now if you typed that into your calculator and you ran the linreg, and you didn't get an R value that comes up, what you need to do is turn your diagnostic on. So to do that, I'm going to press second and the number 0. This opens up the catalog. It's an alphabetical list of all the commands in your calculator. If I press the XI button, it'll skip me all the way down to the D's. And then I'm just going to scroll down until I see the command diagnostic on. And I'll select that by pressing enter. And press enter again on the home screen. And now when it says done, if I run that linreg again, the R values will surely show up. This concludes our lesson.